Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 29-year veteran writer, illustrator, and editor of comic, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. Today is Booktober Day 30 of 2021. Got this one and one more to go for the month, and then we can get back to our regular schedule and not be crazy every day doing multiple posts every day. But today's book is Retrograde by Peter Cawdron. Nice hardcover edition. This is the edition by Houghton, Mifflin, and I forgot the name, but I'll tell you in a second. I got it listed on the other, but Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt. That's what I was trying to think of. Okay, but anyway, this is the hardcover print edition. The first American edition was actually printed a little bit earlier in Cawdron's native Australia first. So, that being said, let's get to reviewing. Retrograde hardcover, $24.99. Publisher Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt. Writer Peter Cawdron, with cover art by Elizabeth Leggett. Genre science fiction. The original edition was released in 2016. The edition I'm reviewing is the September 12, 2017 edition. What it's about: mankind has long dreamed of reaching out to live on other planets. And with the establishment of the Martian Colony, that dream has become reality. The fledgling colony consists of 120 different scientists, astronauts, medical staff, and engineers. Buried deep underground in Mars underground, they're protected from the harsh radiation that sterilizes the surface of the planet. The colony is prepared for every eventuality except one. What happens when disaster strikes Earth? Well, nuclear war breaks out on Earth, and no one knows who caused it. And every country's blaming the other countries. So the 120 people, who are all from different countries, are splintering into their own factions. Only on Mars, you really can't afford to do that nonsense. Sorry about that. Just moving a tab for a minute there. In being opposing clique groups, because you're reliant upon one another in order to survive in the colony. Now, of course, no one trusts each other because of what's happened, and whoever started the war on Earth is now going to try and start the war on Mars. Elizabeth Louise Anderson is a micropaleobiologist with the U.S. group. When a series of nasty accidents begin to strike the colony, things become even more strained between the colonist groups, and she and a few others have to put their own nationalism and their ideologies behind them in order to survive. What do I think about this? Well, I would say think The Martian by Andy Weir. That's the book that was made into a movie where Matt Damon got left behind on Mars and had to figure it out on his own until his crew came back to get him. Only this time, there's no support crew or supplies coming for an indefinite period of time because everyone's blowing each other up on Earth and don't have time to worry about what's going on Mars. And you have a whole complement of 120 people in a colony who have to manage. Instead of just one guy trying to figure out for himself, it's 120. How do we do this? And are people going to, try and starve the other groups out because of their nationality or what, type thing. But anyway, it's interesting. Or for those of you who might be a little more well-read in the science fiction genre, you can think The Martian by Weir merged with the Mars trilogy by Kim Stanley Robinson, because this is the first book of a series, and I think it'll really pretty much go the same way Robinson's trilogy did. Because of this, the story was kind of deja vu for me, and I spent far too much time in my head comparing this to the Robinson work to really immerse myself in the story. The characters here are, they're okay, but they're not written quite well enough for me to fall in story love with them to care about what's going on in the book. The plot and the twists are pretty obvious, and the lead is a little bit too slow on the uptake to figure things out, in my opinion. I also didn't care for the pseudo-love triangle between the lead, her ex-boyfriend, and her new partner. But then I've had my experiences in those sort of relationships in real life, and they never turn out well for someone in a trio, possibly for none of them. So it's like, I'd rather not read about that sort of thing and relive my own past horrors and keep that in my headspace while I'm trying to enjoy reading something else I read to escape, not relive my past. But that's just me. That's not to say the book isn't enjoyable, though. It is to say, though, that this is not my first Martian rodeo, as it were. And the ride has been better in the past. I don't think this book would even exist without Robinson's Mars trilogy. So much of the pacing, the science, the types of personalities of the science characters seem to be cued off that series. And I just couldn't get out of my own headspace making comparisons. Between that and the love triangle that really there isn't any time for, given what's going on. I mean, who cares about relationship drama when you are trying to figure out how to survive? It's like, yeah, well, how about this? First, let's figure out how to survive. Then we'll worry about sex. You don't need to be having sex and possibly procreating. And we don't even know how we're going to survive what we got right now. So it all just falls a little bit flat for me. But if you haven't read the Robinson trilogy, then this should be a really reasonably engaging series, I think. Just keep in mind that it says Cawdron, but it's Cawdron. Loves his tech talk and his science club discussions in stories. So if you're not into that heavy science, I would recommend you pass on this. It is recommended for ages 16 and up, due to language, due to sexual situations, etc. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. And that is our book for today. Tomorrow's book will be Graveyard Wars, the graphic novel by A.J. Lieberman, Andrew Sebastian Kwan. And I don't know who Rawlings is. It might be the colorist or the letterer there, but it's by A.J. Lieberman and Andrew Sebastian Kwan. And that'll be tomorrow's book, again at 1:30. And then tonight at 8 o'clock p.m., we'll have Quoth River Movie Night, horror movie classics discussion. We're talking about vampire films. We're going to be talking Horror of Dracula, Satanic Rites of Dracula, Daughter of Dracula, The Vampire Bat, Vampire Circus, and The Vampire Happening. Not necessarily in that order, but those 6 films will be discussed. Tomorrow at 1:30 p.m., we'll talk about Graveyard Wars again, like I just said. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., we'll have our live draw, which will be a Monster Mash, just draw monsters. And then 8 p.m. tomorrow night, Halloween night, Quoth the Raven Horror Movie Night Part 3, horror movies discussion with my guest host, John Norris, will be returning. We'll be discussing The Leopard Man, the 1932 Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Targets, which I believe has Boris Karloff in it, Dementia 13, which is Francis Ford Coppola early horror film by him, The Vanishing Corpse, which features Bela Lugosi, and Revolt of the Zombies. And Ted Davies at RSG says, good day to everyone. Yes, good day to you, sir. How are you? And that is pretty much the show for now. I'll be back again later this evening to discuss the vampire films with you. But, and then tonight or tomorrow, I will discuss the following week's programming moving forward. I just got to get all the graphics ready. It's just not going fast enough. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, okay, what's going on? Oh, there we go. If you enjoyed this video, or you think others might, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from this channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. If you want to reach out to me, I can be found on social media at Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, on Twitter at LewisBrightRave2. You can see my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven, exclusively on YouTube. If you have questions, comments, suggestions for topics for future episodes, want to commission artwork from me, QuothTheRavenLBR72@gmail.com is the address to reach out to me at. And if I don't get back to you within, say, 24 to 48 hours, try LewisBrightRaven@yahoo.com. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later this evening, perhaps, when we talk about the vampire movies. Have a good day.